Hey there, Blip here, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today in this video I have kind of something special for you guys. I'm going to give you an idea of what spec is going to be the best for the raids, but before we get into that I just want to say, please take this with a grain of salt. There's no way I can be insanely accurate on this because Shadowlands has introduced a problem where most people don't know what's going to be good. We can use the sims and all the other stuff to get a good idea, but the fact is, until the raid is out, no one truly knows what is going to be the absolute best for every single fight, meaning that this is going to vary quite a bit. But we can use all the information we have at our disposal from all the amazing theory crafters that the World of Warcraft community has to put together a rough idea. I'm also going to give you guys some resources that the Mage community and the community in general has put together to help give you a better idea of what to choose for your situation. Now, to get straight into it, the sims you see here are pure single target patchwork sims with the best possible choice for each specialization. I can show you this here right now. For Frost, for example, you can see the talents they're playing with here for the simulation. You can see the Venthyr Covenant, because the Venthyr Covenant is the best single target, plus the best conduit, which is the Icy Veins cooldown reduction, because it scales insanely well with the legendary here that's also best for single target, the Slick Ice one, for Frost Mage. If we go to Fire, you can see the exact same thing. They're playing Firestorm, the best single target and AoE legendary for Fire Mage at the moment, with the best Covenant shifting power and the best conduit, which is the Infernal Cascade, because Fire Mage has a cooldown reduction build that allows them to use this relic very effectively, and it synergizes with the Firestorm legendary crits as well for more cooldown reduction. Yeah, you get the idea. So this is a pure single target patchwork simulation of how the class performs in pure single target without the rotation being disturbed at all. Now, you have to take these with a grain of salt because there's just no situation in any mythic raid ever, or heroic raid even, where you're just going to be able to sit there and just tunnel away. It's extremely rare that you get to do that without being involved in some sort of mechanics nowadays. So these won't be accurate when you're actually in the raid, but to give you a rough idea, if you think about how each spec plays out with their rotation and stuff, you can kind of imagine how much DPS they're going to lose from movement. Arcane will probably lose a fair amount because they don't really have too much to combat mobility, although they do in some ways now, but it's just they're still not as versatile and, you know, free form as Fire Mage, for example, that can scorch when Execute is up and stuff like that. They have a lot more stuff they can do while moving. They can do their whole combustion while moving. Frost Mage, again, they have procs they can save, and if you play smart you're not going to have much downtime, and these are very important things to consider when looking at the raw sim DPS like this. From this alone, you can see all the specs are fairly close together if you choose the best single target options, which is a very nice thing to see. It means that you're not really going to be punished for playing either of these specs. Although, one thing I've noticed by looking at all of the raid encounters, which I don't have footage for, I'm sorry, but there are a lot of situations where I see Fire and Frost doing a lot, and Arcane potentially as well with Touch of the Magi, but it's very hard to execute, so I could see Fire and Frost being better specs for these situations. Now, I just want to quickly show you another useful resource the Mage Discord has put together, or the Mage community in general, which is a simulations sheet with access to all three specs for multiple targets for everything you could possibly need to know in Shadowlands. So different conduits, different covenants, soulbinds at certain points when you have a certain renown level, the racials, and so on, trinkets for your class. And you need to, I'll put a link in the description for this because this is something I'm not going to be able to show you everything in this video, it will take too long. There's just a lot of useful stuff here that can kind of give you an idea of what you're going to be doing with your spec. What I think is useful to see is stuff like legendaries with conduits, because this will help you right now decide on what sort of legendary you want to craft. Now, for me personally, I'm going to be crafting the Temporal Warp legendary because it's usable between all three specs, and if you watch my most recent video, I feel like there's going to be a really insane abuse of this legendary that allows you to basically have 2 legendaries worth in a fight, which is kind of ridiculous and it should be fixed, but you never know with Blizzard, it could happen, and just that's how it is as a progress raider. I have to take the best possible DPS option, and Temporal Warp is looking to be that, especially because I'm most likely going to be swapping between all three specs at some point during the raid, and having Temporal Warp as a legendary being useful in all these situations. Even if it's not the best, it's still very high up. And if we look at more targets, you can see you're gonna get kind of, in the situations where I might want to do AoE on Thrust, for example, I might be a bit more punished going for Temporal Warp. When you have something like this legendary that just goes skyrockets above. But in general, Temporal Warp is still very good, and for Fire, you can see here, it's one of the best AoE legendaries. And for Arcane as well, it's one of the better ones. For Fire, obviously this is 5 target. In Mythic Plus, you're most likely going to be pulling more than 5 target, and Firestorm is very good because Fire Strike is... Flame Strike is uncapped, so a target cap that is, so Firestorm becomes very good there. But yeah, that's just like a way I wanted to show you how you could use this to find something useful. If you know you want to check out the Covenants, this is like a good idea of how, you know, if your Covenant choice was good for a certain spec. Frost, it's really bad, you know, Night Fae for single target, at least with the current build that's being used for this sim, and for multiple targets it becomes very good because it's a good AoE damaging ability, and more Frozen Orb cooldown is very welcome for Frost Mages. It's so obvious, but it just backs up and confirms the stuff you can think of, right? And another like notable thing you can see on here is that for Fire Mage, Orc has become the best ratio where Troll has been the whole time. That's because Fire Mage now has 2-minute and 1-minute combustions with the Kindling build, which makes this ratio line up perfectly, and also main stat has become very valuable in Shadowlands, making this ratio a lot better. Alliance, you have stuff like Mechanome, but Dark Iron Dwarf are pretty notable as well because they're another main stat on use. Yeah, the purpose of this video was to show you which spec I think is going to be best, and I've seen all of the fights. I haven't played all of the fights. I cannot give you a 100% accurate confirmation that this is going to be the case, but in my personal opinion, with the current Fire Mage ability or build with the Night Fae Covenant and the full cooldown reduction Kindling build with Rune of Power, Fire Mage is going to be very good because they're going to be able to spread their Ignite when new sets of ads spawn, and in general there are quite a few fights where they can do that. And in general, Fire Mage has always been a very, very good progress specialization when it's decent on damage because it's just so versatile. You have so much defensives at your disposal, you have Cauterize as an emergency cheat death, and then also because your best Covenant, Soulbind, is the one with the Night Pod, that means you can also resurrect from death if you do end up dying by the resurrected seed pod thing. Which just means Fire has so much, it's nearly impossible for them to die if they use their cooldowns and defensives really well. I just don't think you'll see them dying at all. So in my opinion, I think Fire is going to be the best overall spec for the raid. But I cannot confirm this, and something could happen. Someone could come up with a new build midway through the raid that makes Frost insanely good in all situations, or Arcane insanely good in all situations. And there will be situations where Arcane and Frost outperform Fire. There's no doubt about that in my mind. So you really have to keep that in mind when looking at this. But just from everything I've seen over the last couple of weeks and through Alpha, and all the nerfs and changes to Frost and Fire and Arcane, Fire Mage is looking like the best raid spec right now at least. But like, don't feel bad if you're wanting to play Frost and Arcane. You can see here, like, they are good. They are very good. They're going to be useful in other situations. And I'm telling you now, there's probably going to be situations where I'm going to play Frost and Arcane for certain fights where we need certain things in a raid. But for the most part, I think Fire Mage is going to be the best spec just because of how versatile they are and how useful their build is for all situations. Yeah, I hope you found this video useful. If you did enjoy it, please consider subscribing. I'm most likely going to be making some guides for the specs, although they will be kind of hit hard. I don't have access to all the Covenants. I don't really want to swap between the Covenants like mid-progress, because that would really hinder my guild's progress and I would be benched probably all the time. So I'll make the best possible guides I can up to a certain extent. And I plan on really getting back into my channel again. I've been really neglecting it over the past couple of weeks and months actually, which has made me feel kind of bad because I do enjoy doing it, I just haven't found the time. And I've been so focused on other things such as job hunting, and it's just, yeah, it can be a bit frustrating because money is very stressful. Yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good day, and if you have any questions, be sure to ask in the comments. I'll be sure to answer them as quickly and as accurately as I can. Remember, I'm just one human mage. Well, I'm not human, I'm a troll. I'll do my best to answer everything I can as accurately as I can. Thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful time in the Shadowlands, my friends.